Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Get Well Soon podcast. If you're new here, we'd like to have conversations surrounding the wellness of everyday students like us here. Today, we are talking about failure. Dale, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, so we have a little quote here by Ariana Huffington saying, "Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success." Now, when you hear this, you may be thinking, well, how can that really be true, right? Because it sounds like an opposite. But really, what we're going to dive into today is that failure is actually a necessary component. Like, you're going to need it because it actually helps you learn. So yesterday, I actually had my first baseball game, and I was pretty new at it, right? My first time playing, and pretty much our first game for the team. And we got beaten badly, right? We got Liam, what was it again?
10-2.
10-2, yeah. So we obviously got beaten really badly, and in the outfield, my position, I missed the catches, right? And then when you miss the catches, that's when the other team, they gets the points. So they got like 4 points off of me, and it just feels so bad, And but what I kind of realized is that I kind of needed to get out there and get beaten, because it kind of showing me like I got a lot of work to do, Even though I went to practice, even though I made the team, there's still a lot of work to be done. So I think it was kind of a good lesson,
And going on along the same lines of what Dale said, I also had a track meet yesterday, and I ran the 800, and we faced 3 different schools, including Boston Prep, and I did get 10th place out of 12 people in the 800, and that also opened my eyes that there's a lot of work to do. And yeah, like Dale said, I made the team. I practice a lot. I did everything during the practices, but there's still a lot of training grind to do. So while yes, failure, it doesn't feel good in the moment, but it's necessary in order to take us to that next step that we need to get to, or we want to get to.
I think it's important to understand the placement that failure has within success. And if you don't fail, I don't think you can have success, because there's no comparison, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I heard another quote. It was like, losers aren't people who fail, they're people who never fail. And it's kind of saying that losers are people who don't try. They stick to their comfort zones. They stick to what's normal, and they never go outside of their comfort zone. And if you're never doing that, then you're never going to be able to attain success, because, you can't always think that you're just going to succeed in everything you do, There's obviously going to be failure, and if you're just shying away from that and shying away from those learning experiences, you're not going to be able to grow,
Mm-hmm.
Another story of failure I had from this year, it was my book club, right? So I had started a book club. It was during the pandemic, and we were talking about habits. It's kind of like an accountability club as well. Kefe was in there. And then when we came back next year, this school year, we were in person this time, because before it was online school. So we had in-person meetings at the school this time instead of on a Discord call. And, there was only 2 people there. At first we had a couple people, 6 people, but for the next couple of weeks, we only had 2 people showing up every day, and it was me and Kefe. Yeah. And honestly, it really kind of felt like a failure, and I felt it just felt bad, I don't think there's really, when saying failure is a part of success, it is, and also the pain is too, it just hurts. But eventually, we just kept going at it. I kept improving the formula. We got a little bit more people each time, and right now we're averaging about 7 to 8 people each week, sometimes 9 or 10. And it was all possible because there were moments where I had 2 people going and I didn't give up.
We talk a lot about, or we have in the past talked about, habits on this podcast. And I think it's important to understand that learning from your mistakes is not just something that you do. You have to learn how to do it. You have to make it a habit to learn from your mistakes.
So if you're, a habit to learn from your mistakes, I guess keeping an open mindset.
Yeah, exactly. If you're used to always getting your way, always having success, and then going back to a job or something, you get a promotion or something, and then you face a hardship. If you've never had experience learning from hardships, then how are you going to learn from that one? You would just you're more likely to. You don't have a strong foundation of learning from failure and learning how to progress past obstacles or through obstacles, and yeah.
So I guess if you face a hardship in your job, instead of like complaining, like maybe say, what can I do better next time? Like, and a lot of times it may not be like your fault, right? Like if it's like an angry customer or something, and then like it kind of gets you upset, but maybe you can think, all right, how can I deal with this better next time so that it doesn't turn out this way? You know, just kind of, just focusing on what you can control. Really, I think that's another part of the skill is because when you focus on things like when you fail or something goes wrong, and then you focus on what you couldn't control, that kind of becomes really hard because you really can't do anything about that. But you can always kind of control how you react. What do you think about that, Kefe?
Yeah, I agree. Because when you get I feel like when you get failure into your head, like it kind of occupies your mind, especially even when it's like out of your control. Like even if it's out of your control, like in say you're like in a team sport and like you fail along with the team, like maybe it's not all because of you, but it's still in your mind that you know it's still like occupies your mind and it like gives like off a negative mindset. So that's what I think about it.
So you're saying like it wouldn't make any sense to like blame the team, for other people on your team for you guys losing. Just say, all right, I'm gonna do the best I can to get better, and then hopefully your actions can also inspire your team as well. And I guess just keeping a positive attitude. Like I remember when I was on the soccer team, a lot of the guys, I was probably like the worst one on the team, but a lot of the guys, they were always supporting me even when I messed up, and especially when I was succeeding, when I actually got my first goal, they were all there to support me. So I think just really focusing on like your own skills and your own thing can actually be a good example for others, and they can actually learn from your successes, which pretty much stemmed from your failures, right?
It's really about like reframing your mindset to think of a failure as a negative thing to being as a positive thing, like that you can progress from that point. I know a captain of a baseball team that I play on, Jacob over here. He said don't dwell on plays that happened three plays ago. Like you gotta move forward, and you can look at those plays and realize your mistakes and try to do better next time. But if you just constantly dwell on like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, instead of focusing on what you could be doing right now, I think that's where people get caught up.
And another thing is that even like when you're failing, you still like kind of succeed because you try. And then like with the baseball team, we're all out there. We lost, yes, but there's other kids who didn't even try out for the team. That maybe they didn't think they were gonna be good enough for anything. But we actually went out there and we put in our best effort. Another example is I went to the spelling bee, Spanish spelling bee. I would do that many years, and I went to the nationals. And then I lost. Those kids were actually really good, but then the guy up there, the MC, he was saying like we're all successes because we really had to persevere in general to get there. There's all sorts of kids who want to get to the nationals. Nationals sounds crazy. So like whatever you do, understand that just trying, that's a success in and of itself, because failure is pretty much like the next step. You took a step, maybe didn't succeed this time, but that's going to lead to your next step, and then your next step, and your next step, and then eventually you're going to succeed, and then it's going to make all that failure worth it.
If people are stuck in a kind of repetitive state of failing, and they're trying to reframe their mindset to think of those failures in a positive light, how do you think that it can be done? Because I know it's a hard place to get out of. If you're like rechanging your mind to think of things differently is a hard thing to do, but how do you think someone could start if they were in a spot like that?
Maybe they could plan their process and like put the results aside, even though it's very hard to do so. Like the results, yeah, at the end of the day, that's what you're aiming for. But at the same time, I think it's also important to aim for like the process and like the journey there too, and focus on that first, and then the results will come eventually. And even if the results don't come like immediately, like, because you won't get that instant gratification, you know.
Yeah. So like I think you kind of remind me of like working out, right?
Yeah.
Like you're saying like don't focus on not seeing any like growth or gains. Maybe just focus on the plan, and that makes sense because like maybe like if you keep failing a lot, it's probably because the actions you're taking, like something's not working there. So if you start looking at that plan, like the way you're eating, the way you're training, you know that's where the key to the success is. It's in there. It's not in the results, the day to day, because honestly, that's gonna come over time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, it can be helpful to just to learn more.
Mm.
You know, like maybe you're missing an important piece, right? Maybe you're missing some knowledge, and that can to get that knowledge that you need to succeed. That could be, well, obviously, trying and what's it called? Success error. What is that? Trial and error. Yeah, trial and error. Trial and error. That's one way to learn. But another way to learn is talking to people.
Exactly.
Yeah, mentors, people who already done it, and of course the internet too. But yeah, what do you guys think about that?
And it's important to talk to those people because those people have been in the same spot that you've been, and they failed too. So they can use what they learned to help you avoid the same mishaps that they might have had. And even if you do happen to have a mishap that you weren't told about or you didn't know was going to happen, you can always bring that with you to like your next step in order to make you better in the long run.
Yeah. I take a computer science class, right? And then my dad, he's a programmer, so he kind of knows the stuff that's going on. So he tells me, you know, you don't have to like reinvent the wheel. You know, you don't have to like to struggle so hard when there's someone there who can help you. So yeah, like pretty much reaching out to those who already went the path, it makes it easier. I kind of feel like a lot of the stuff that happens in our lives, everyone goes through it. You know, life doesn't have to be this war, all this pain. Like it's things that everyone deals with: homework, procrastination, fitness, health. That's all stuff every human has done for millions of years or thousands of years. So getting help is important. Yeah.
And also, like, everyone has their own kind of types of failure, you know. Not everyone's going to fail in the same way. Some people might have successes in one area where you might have failures, but it's not about comparing yourself to them. It's about comparing yourself to who you were yesterday or the day before that. It's about the progress you're making as you, not compared to other people.
Yeah, and I can connect that to what happened yesterday. Like, I feel like instead of comparing myself to others, like, I should, like, quote unquote, run my own race, focus on myself, like, stay in my own lane, focus on me, focus on what I can do better. Maybe I made an error, like, during, like, the first lap, or maybe I could have ran faster during the second lap, you know? Something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much our conclusion, right?
Yeah.
Just look at, you know, Kefe's gonna look at what he can do next, how he can improve, you know, maybe some more exercise, you know what I'm saying? And same thing with me. I'm gonna check out my catching of the fly balls, trying to get better at that. And my throwing arm, trying to improve that. So really just keep playing, you know, just don't give up. Just keep on persevering through, because failure is indeed a part of success. So thank you everyone for watching the Get Well Soon podcast. I'm Dale.
I'm Liam.
I'm Kefe.
And we'll see you next time. I mean, get well soon.